Hi guys, Anel Tunes, the African Mixmaster, back in another mixing tutorial, and this is a continuation of my previous tutorial. And today we are going to be talking about compression, how we compress guitars. And before we continue, please, there's some exciting news. I have a website called Anel Tunes University. This website is dedicated to teaching you, coaching you into becoming a better music producer or a better mixing and mastering engineer. I have a free course called Secrets of Reverb on African Lead Vocals. Click the link below, go and learn about reverb, working with reverb on lead vocals. Before we dive in, let me play just the instrumental here of what we're dealing with. It's a same song, but I'll mute the vocals so we can only hear the instrumental. Here we go. And this is the guitar. Just with our EQ, remember, we're correcting some frequencies within the EQ, and we looked at that. If you didn't watch this video, please go back and watch it. It's on my channel here. And now, after that, I would like us to deal with compression. It's not a common compressor that you see around. Not very many people have it, simply because it's by a company called Universal Audio, or UAD, and these are not very common plugins. But today they have put up software plugins whereby you can subscribe and use them without having any hardware, which wasn't the case before. But these are premium plugins. These are elite plugins. Please, just if you can afford, just buy and try using them, and trust me, you'll thank me later. So anyway, let's dive in. This is our acoustic guitar with compression. This is how it sounds like with compression. The guitar sounds amazing, already sounds beautiful, but you feel with compression, I feel it's more fuller and more solid and more in your face. It's glued all together. All the notes are glued together. Now let's try to listen to it without compression. Yeah, you feel it's a little thin. It lacks some punch and it lacks command. Let us dive in and see how I was able to achieve that solidness. Now, if you look here, the 1176 compressors work differently. Now, something you need to notice about these compressors is that normally one here, for example, let's look at the release here. One would mean a very fast release. But actually, on the 1176 compressors, the smaller the figure, the longer the release. The bigger the figure, the faster the release. So it's the opposite of other normal compressors. Yeah? The same applies to attack. When you say 1, that means that is a very slow attack. But when I say 7, that is a very fast attack. And we only have selected ratios here, and I'll go for the 4 because I don't want to do a lot of reduction or a lot of compression in this particular scenario in this guitar. And there's a video about ratio attack release on my channel. Please look for it somewhere on this channel, or put a link somewhere so you can learn more about compression. So the input is what triggers the compression. So the more input you give, you feed into this compressor, the more compression you will get. If you look at the VU meter here, So if for this particular guitar, even when you look at it, it's not very, very dynamic. So my target is about a -2 or a -3 gain reduction. Because I want something that is consistent. I want a guitar that is consistent. I don't want some notes shouting out and others being quiet. Now, I've made a medium attack. I've made a very fast release. It's kind of fast. I want a fast release. I don't want the compressor to hold on so long to the signal. I've given it a ratio of -4. Now, after this part, I'm trying to push the signal into the compressor, and I'm getting an average of about -1 gain reduction. But when it hits those notes, those high notes, which were played aggressively, it hits up to around -5, which is what I want. So let's listen again. So you can see that the notes that were played aggressively are really compressed more to about -5, which is okay. So it's a very easy compressor to use, though a bit confusing. It depends on what you want to achieve. I just wanted to achieve something, a glue, a consistency throughout the playing. Now, it's these small changes, minor changes, that make a big difference at the end of the whole mix, when the mastering process begins. Now, all these small changes that you've been making here and there are expounded on during the mastering level. And then you hear a big difference. You hear a very good sound. So don't neglect these small changes. So you may not feel like much has changed, but actually that little that has changed is very, very important. So if I'm to play in the mix, sounds beautiful. Now, if I bypass the compressor, I'm going to do it on and off so you can feel the difference in unison with everything else. You hear? A big difference. So it gets somehow lost in the mix. It's there, but it gets somehow lost in the mix. But when I put on the compressor, when I turn it on, it gets more in your face and more present in the mix. But notice there is no volume change whatsoever. No volume change whatsoever. Same volume, but the solidity and the consistency is what changes. Yeah. So, well, thank you for watching, and I remind you to subscribe, like, and follow my YouTube page. And also I remind you, grab your free course, Mixing with Reverb on African lead vocals. It's on my website, which is Anel Tunes University. Please click the link in the description to take you there to the course, and you'll do the course totally free of charge. See you in my next tutorial, which is a continuation of this mini series on acoustic guitars. Thank you.